Welcome back to the Learning Den, everyone. Today we're diving deep into a topic that is like absolutely essential if you want to understand Pakistan.
Yeah.
We're talking climate.
And
I'm
you go
thinking,
west, Martin.
yeah, think of this as your personal crash course, your guide to the chapter on climate.
Oh, okay.
Specifically, tailored for all of you out there getting ready to just dominate your O-level geography papers.
Ace it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ace it. Our mission today is super clear. We're going to unpack Pakistan's awesomely diverse climatic zones.
Right.
And we're going to figure out, what are the big players that decide what the temperature is going to be and how much rain a place is going to get.
Right. We're going to go on a journey across Pakistan today.
Yeah.
And explore its diverse landscapes, but through the lens of climate. We're going to look at everything that makes each region unique in terms of its weather.
Okay, so to kick off this awesome journey, we need to be crystal clear about the difference between two terms you hear, all the time: weather and climate. Now, while they're totally related, they're looking at very different timescales.
Yeah, that's right. Weather is what you see, feel every day. It's like a snapshot of what the atmosphere is doing right now at this particular time. So, before you head out the door, you check. Is it hot out?
Yeah.
Is it cold? Is it raining? Is it dry? How sticky does it feel, right?
Yeah.
How strong is the wind blowing?
Yeah.
These are all elements that make up the weather.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as we know, living in Pakistan, it can change super quickly.
Oh, yeah. You can be basking in the sun 1 minute and then caught in a downpour the next.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
All the time.
Yeah.
Climate, though. Climate is taking the wider view, right?
Yeah.
Climate is looking at the big picture. So in a nutshell, what is climate? So climate describes the long-term weather patterns of a region. When we talk about climate, we're looking at the average weather conditions over a really long period.
Right.
Typically 30 years or more.
Okay.
And this long-term view gives us a really good understanding of, the weather tendencies of a place, the kind of weather you can expect generally, rather than just the daily changes.
Right.
It's think of it this way. Weather is like today's outfit. Climate is your entire wardrobe.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, so weather is the right now.
Right.
Climate is the overall trend.
Yes.
And when we look at Pakistan's climate over the long term, what stands out to you?
So what stands out to me is the sheer variety of climates we have.
Right.
Pakistan isn't just like this one, blob of same weather. We've got 4 major climatic zones.
Yeah.
Each with its own distinct weather personality, long-term weather personality, I should say.
Okay.
And these zones, they're not just categories in a textbook, right? They profoundly shape how people live their lives.
Yeah.
They influence everything. The types of crops that farmers can grow, how we build our houses,
Right.
the types of economic activities that can actually thrive.
Okay, so we have 4 distinct zones. That is amazing diversity.
It is.
Within just one country.
Yes.
Let's start our exploration all the way up north, in the Majestic Mountains.
Okay.
Those are the chilly regions. Tell us about the Highland climate.
Okay, so the Highland climate, it covers the towering northern and western mountains of Pakistan, including places like Kashmir, Gilgit-Baltanhor, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and even the higher reaches of Balochistan. And what's really interesting is that these areas get rainfall from multiple sources all year round.
Multiple sources. So where is all that moisture coming from?
Right. So first, we've got relief rainfall. Imagine moist air blowing in from the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal, and it hits these high mountain ranges.
Right.
This air is forced upwards, and as it rises, it cools down. Now, cool air can't hold as much moisture as warm air. So it dumps that moisture as rain or snow on that side of the mountain, the windward side, the side that's facing the wind.
Right.
Then we've got monsoon rains during the summer. They get their share of that as well.
Okay.
Winter thunderstorms, and then moisture from western depressions, which are large weather systems that bring rain and snow.
Okay. And what about the temperature? I mean, being up so high must be pretty different from the rest of the country.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Because of that altitude, the Highland climate has these long freezing winters for short, mild summers.
Right.
And of course, there's variation depending on how high up you are.
Yeah.
The higher you climb, the colder it gets.
Oh, yeah. You could be hiking in a T-shirt at the lower elevation in the summer. And as you go up, you need to bundle up.
You need those layers. Absolutely.
Yeah. So someone living in, let's say, a high mountain valley in Gilgit-Baltistan
Yeah.
will experience like very different temperatures
Yeah, for sure.
year round
Yeah.
compared to, someone who lives in the lower hills of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa.
Right. Exactly.
And when it comes to precipitation, like how does that vary across the highlands?
So the northernmost parts, they see rain or snow almost all year round.
Okay.
While the western mountains, they mostly get it in winter,
Mm.
thanks to those western depressions we talked about.
Right. Okay. So up in the highlands, we've got this like really unique climate. Now, how does that like impact people's lives? How do they adapt to it?
Well, they've definitely had to adapt. Farming, for example, can be really tough.
Yeah.
You've got long periods of snow cover that shorten the growing season.
Yeah.
But you know what? They are famous for their handicrafts.
Oh, right.
Like carpet weaving is a really big one, which they do a lot indoors during the colder months. And then there's this interesting practice called transhumance.
Transhumance.
Yeah, this is where communities move with their livestock seasonally.
Right.
They'll take their animals to lower altitudes in winter to find grazing land,
Right.
and then as snow melts, back up to higher pastures in the summer.
Oh, wow. That's fascinating.
Yeah. And of course, we can't forget tourism, right? The natural beauty of these areas is a huge draw, with places like Murray, Swat, Hunza, Skardu, major tourism spots.
Yeah. From those amazing peaks, let's head down into the vast plains of the Indus River Valley.
Okay.
Tell us about the lowland climate.
Okay, the lowland climate, it dominates the huge Indus Plain, which covers Punjab and Sindh, and their rainfall sources are a little different.
Mm-hmm.
This region relies mainly on the monsoon winds blowing in from the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal during the summer.
Right, bringing in those like essential rains for agriculture.
Yeah, absolutely crucial. They also get some rain from western depressions in the winter,
Oh,
and
yeah.
sometimes they get these intense localized thunderstorms, the convectional rainfall, when the sun heats the ground and all that warm air rises quickly.
Okay. And I imagine the temperatures here are like super extreme, especially in the summer.
Oh, for sure. You've got these short, relatively cool winters, but long, extremely hot summers.
Right.
Temperatures can easily go above 45 degrees Celsius.
Wow, 45.
That's really hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes it one of the hottest regions in the entire country. And that has a huge impact on daily life. You've got to wear light clothes, seek shade during the hottest parts of the day.
Absolutely. So intense heat. But despite these challenges, I mean, this region is like the economic heartland of Pakistan.
Absolutely. This is where Pakistan's agricultural powerhouse is.
Yeah.
Thanks to the fertile soil deposited by the Indus River and all those irrigation systems, you see fields of wheat, rice, sugarcane, cotton, all sorts of things.
Right.
It really supports a very dense population. But that extreme summer heat is a challenge, as we said.
Right.
Big reliance on AC, need for careful water management, really crucial.
Yeah. Okay, so highlands are cold and mountainous, lowlands are hot and agricultural.
Right.
Now, let's turn our attention to the coast. What defines Pakistan's coastal climate?
Okay, so the coastal climate, it's found along this narrow strip next to the Arabian Sea,
Right.
including places like Karachi, the Indus Delta, and Gwadar, which is becoming a very important port. And what defines it?
Yeah.
The sea. It's all about the influence of the sea.
Okay.
Sea breezes help to moderate those temperatures all year round, so it's less extreme than inland areas.
Okay, so a more balanced temperature range, not as scorching in the summer.
Exactly. Less harsh winters as well.
Right.
Now, rainfall is a bit limited compared to other areas. Sindh coast gets most of its rain from the monsoon winds, while the Makran coast further west relies more on those western depressions that roll through in the winter.
Okay.
And then you have these occasional tropical cyclones that form over the Arabian Sea.
Oh, right.
Now, they're not super common, but when they hit, they bring strong winds, heavy rain, and risk of coastal flooding.
And what's the typical temperature like along the coast?
It's mild, short winters, long, warm summers, but, and this is a big but, the humidity.
Oh, the humidity.
Especially from April to September, it gets really sticky, sometimes up to 50% humidity. So it makes that heat feel even heavier.
Yeah. So how does this coastal environment, shape how people live and work?
Well, being close to the sea really drives the economy.
Right.
Trade and shipping are huge. Karachi is a major port. Gwadar is growing rapidly. Then there's fishing, really important for coastal communities.
Yeah.
And then you have tourism.
Right.
Beautiful beaches like Clifton in Karachi and Gwadar is getting a lot of attention as well.
Okay. So we've journeyed through the mountains,
Yeah.
the plains, and the coast. Now we're left with the arid interior.
Mm.
Tell us about Pakistan's arid climate.
Okay, the arid climate, it rules the deserts of Pakistan. We're talking mainly about the Thar Desert in Sindh and the Karn Desert in Balochistan.
Okay.
And the defining feature here, very little rainfall.
Okay.
Thar Desert gets a tiny bit, mostly during the monsoon, but it's really unpredictable. Karn Desert is even drier, although it might get a sprinkle from those western depressions occasionally.
I can only imagine how extreme the temperatures must be in a desert.
Oh, it's intense. Summers in the arid climate are brutal.
Right.
Daytime temperatures often above 50 degrees Celsius.
Wow.
That sand just bakes in the sun. Winters are short and cool with really big temperature drops at night because there's no cloud cover to hold the heat.
Right. And I imagine you also get those really strong winds and dust storms.
Oh, yeah, those are a real challenge, especially during the summer, May to September. You get these dust storms and hot winds. It can make life pretty difficult.
How do people live in such a harsh environment?
It takes amazing adaptation. Many communities, particularly in the more remote desert areas, are nomadic or semi-nomadic, constantly on the move to find water and grazing land for their animals.
Right.
And, despite the dryness, there are some pockets of agriculture in oases.
Oh, right.
Where underground water allows for growing things like dates and melons.
Okay.
And interestingly, Balochistan's arid regions are also rich in minerals.
Right.
So mining for things like copper and gold provides another source of livelihood.
Okay, so it's just amazing how much the climate varies across Pakistan and how people have adapted to these, diverse and often really tough conditions.
Yeah.
Now, let's step back a bit and look at the bigger picture.
Okay.
What are the key factors that shape Pakistan's temperature and, the overall climate patterns?
Okay. This is where we get into the science behind it all. Several geographical and atmospheric factors play a role.
Right.
Let's start with latitude, which is how far north or south of the equator a place is.
So latitude, our distance from the equator, how does that impact our climate here in Pakistan?
So the closer you are to the equator, the more direct sunlight you get throughout the year.
Right.
And that means more intense heat. Pakistan is in the subtropics, so we generally get a lot of solar radiation.
Right.
And you can see this effect even within Pakistan.
Okay.
Compare, for example, Faisalabad further north to Hyderabad in the south. Hyderabad is generally hotter because it's closer to the equator and gets that more direct sunlight.
Okay, that makes sense. More direct sunlight equals more heat.
Yeah. What's the next big factor?
Altitude. How high a place is above sea level. We talked about this with the Highland climate.
Right. Higher altitudes, colder temperature.
Exactly. As you go up in altitude, the air gets thinner, less dense.
Okay.
Fewer air molecules to trap the heat.
Right.
So on average, temperature drops by about 6.5 degrees Celsius for every 1,000 meters you go up.
Wow.
That explains the difference between, say, the plains of Punjab and those cooler hill stations like Murree or Skardu.
Right. So you could drive a short distance north and the temperature can just drop drastically just because of the change in elevation.
Absolutely.
Okay, what's next?
Clouds.
Clouds. I just think of them as like rain indicators.
Well, they do bring rain, but they also have a huge impact on temperature.
Oh, okay.
During the day, clouds act like a natural sunscreen, reflecting sunlight back into space.
Oh, okay.
That's why cloudy days feel cooler.
Right, right.
But at night, they act like a blanket, trapping the heat.
Oh, wow.
So cloudy nights are warmer than clear nights. That's a fascinating double role.
Yeah.
What other factors influence our climate?
So another important one is the distance from the sea,
Okay.
what we call continental effect and maritime influence.
Can you break that down for us?
Places far inland, away from the sea, like Lahore or Islamabad, experience wider temperature swings.
Right.
Hot summers, cold winters.
Right.
That's the continental effect.
Okay.
Land heats up and cools down much faster than water.
Got it. And what about places near the sea?
That's the maritime influence. Water takes a long time to heat up and cool down.
Okay.
So it moderates the temperature of coastal areas. During the day, cool sea breezes blow inland,
Right.
making it cooler. At night, the warmer sea prevents the land from getting too cold.
Oh, okay.
So coastal cities like Karachi, Gwadar, Pazani, they have milder winters and less extreme summers.
So being far from the sea means more extreme temperatures.
Yeah.
And being near the sea helps to moderate those temperatures. All right. Let's move on to wind and precipitation, so crucial for life and agriculture in Pakistan.
Absolutely. Wind is basically moving air.
Mm.
It moves from high pressure to low pressure and from cooler areas to warmer areas.
All right.
And it plays a key role in spreading both temperature and moisture around.
Okay.
And when we talk about precipitation in Pakistan,
Yeah.
the monsoon winds are the real stars of the show.
Right, the monsoons.
Yeah, they're seasonal winds, so their direction changes with the seasons. In the summer, from late June to September, they blow from the sea towards the land carrying moisture from the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal.
Right, bringing those much-needed summer rains.
Yeah, and those rains are so important for agriculture.
Yeah.
So the Bay of Bengal monsoon,
Okay.
it brings heavy rainfall to the eastern and northern parts of Pakistan. Think Punjab, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Azad Kashmir, and Gilgit-Baltistan.
Right.
The Arabian Sea monsoon brings some rain to Sindh, but not as much. And then as winter comes, the winds reverse. They blow from the land to the sea, and they become dry winds.
Right.
Not much rain then.
So summer monsoons are the wet season?
Yes.
What about those western depressions?
Ah, yes. They are crucial, especially in the winter, from November to March.
Right.
They originate over the Mediterranean Sea, travel eastwards, and bring some much-needed rain and snow to Balochistan, Punjab, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa.
Okay.
Really important for winter crops like wheat.
Right.
Up north, they bring snowfall.
So we've got summer monsoons affecting the east and north.
Right.
And winter depressions bringing rain and snow to the west and parts of the north.
Yeah.
Any other types of rainfall we should know about?
Yeah, there are a few more. Convectional rainfall. That's when the sun heats up the land so much that the air rises rapidly, forming those thunderstorms, especially in Punjab and Sindh.
Right.
Then there's relief rainfall, which happens when moist air hits mountains and is forced upwards.
Right. We talked about that in the Highlands.
Yeah. And lastly, there's rainfall associated with tropical cyclones. These are rare, but can bring a lot of rain and wind.
Right. So we have this very complex interplay of wind patterns and weather systems.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately, these forces of nature can lead to some serious challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the climatic hazards that Pakistan faces.
Okay, so Pakistan is unfortunately very vulnerable to climatic hazards.
Yeah.
One of the most common and devastating is flooding.
Right.
This can be triggered by heavy monsoon rains, melting glaciers in the north, and sometimes dam failures or inadequate infrastructure.
Okay, which areas are most affected by these floods?
The Indus River and its tributaries are most prone.
Okay.
They drain such a huge area.
Yeah.
But several factors worsen the impact.
Okay.
Deforestation means less absorption of rainwater. Weak embankments can break. Early warning systems are often not good enough.
Right.
And we lack well-equipped emergency services.
Okay, so it's a combination of like natural triggers and human-made problems.
Yeah.
But are there any benefits at all to these floods?
Well, amidst all the destruction, there are some. Floods recharge groundwater,
Right.
deposit fertile silt, increase fish populations,
Okay.
and help fill reservoirs and dams.
Right, right.
But it's important to remember that the damage they cause is huge.
Right.
That's why things like dams, early warning systems, and reforestation are so crucial
Absolutely.
to manage the risk.
Floods are definitely a huge concern. What about other severe weather events?
Pakistan also gets a variety of storms. Thunderstorms are common in the north, bringing heavy rain, strong winds, and sometimes hail.
Okay.
Then you have dust storms, which are common in Balochistan and Sindh, creating those hazardous conditions with almost no visibility.
Right.
Both types of storms can damage crops, livestock, infrastructure.
Right. And of course, we have droughts.
Yes, droughts are a major hazard often overlooked. It's important to know that there are different types.
Oh, okay.
Permanent drought in very dry areas.
Right.
Seasonal drought when the dry season lasts longer than usual.
Okay.
Invisible drought when rainfall is low but not obviously so.
Okay.
And unpredictable drought, which is sudden and unexpected.
Okay. And the impacts of these droughts, I mean, they must be pretty severe.
Oh, they are. Droughts lead to water shortages,
Right.
food insecurity, migration, economic decline. They can even exacerbate social unrest and conflict.
Right. And finally, let's talk about desertification.
Okay. Desertification is a process where fertile land turns into desert,
Right.
and several human activities are making it worse in Pakistan. Deforestation,
Right.
overgrazing, Unsustainable urbanization and industrialization,
Right.
they all contribute.
And what are the consequences of desertification?
Oh, they're dire. Loss of productive land,
Mm-hmm.
lower agricultural yields,
Right.
food shortages, starvation, migration. It's a vicious cycle that we need to break.
Absolutely. So we see that Pakistan's climate is this dynamic, intricate web of geographical influences, weather patterns, and of course, human actions.
Right. And understanding it isn't just about passing an exam.
Yeah.
It's about understanding how we live, how we grow our food, how our economy works,
Yeah.
and how we plan for the future.
Think about how climate influences everything from the clothes people wear to the way they build their houses in different parts of Pakistan.
You know,
What other connections can you make between climate and daily life?
it's a fascinating thing to think about. And here's another thought. How might climate change make these existing challenges even worse? What new stresses might we see in the years to come? What adaptations will be necessary?
That's a really important question for all of us to think about.
It is.
Thanks for joining us in the Learning Den today for this deep dive into Pakistan's climate. Until next time, keep exploring and keep learning.